Welcome to the first week of the 2025 college football season, where Penn State, led by James Franklin and newly hired offensive coordinator Trace McSorley, take on the Nevada Wolfpack. This is the year that Penn State's finally hoping they can get over the hump and claim that top seat they've been missing for years. They're hoping Trace McSorley can help bring that fire to the offense that they know Jim Knowles is already bringing with the defense. The final run for many of these starters on the offense, from Drew Aller to Nick Singleton and Katron Allen, as well as the receivers they recruited in the offseason such as Devontae Ross and Trevor Pena. This all led to this, and now we kick off this exciting season right now. With the first offensive drive under Trace McSorley, Penn State went with the usual, and they gave a nice little handoff to Nick Singleton, who took it up the middle for a nice gain, almost getting a first down on the very first play. In the literal next play, just to help finish the job, Penn State handed it off to Nick Singleton off the wide. He runs wide and he gets that first down. Penn State's already going into this drive, grounding and pounding and trying to use their elite running back. Next play after that, a few plays later, Penn State's looking to do their first pass, and he hits Devontae Ross for a first down, already trying to utilize one of his new weapons that he got in the transfer portal. And then a few plays later, on a 3rd and 7, they're penned up and they're looking to do something different. They've got Katron Allen in the game. They have him on a screen. He throws it to the left to Katron, who has a wide open field, takes the football all the way down to just at the 20, maybe even the 19. Just like that, they got their nice passing game going, and they're utilizing their second part of their dual-head running back attack. The next play, they look and they throw it to the tight end, who breaks the tackle, and he gets all the way up to the 1, and now Penn State's already knocking on the door of a touchdown, just like that. They tried something even a little fun here with the little wildcat with Katron Allen taking the hike. He then hikes it to number 24, who just couldn't get in. They were trying some trickery. Kudos to them for trying. But then on the literal next play, as if it was no pressure at all, a simple handoff to Nick Singleton, who flips in. Penn State's first touchdown of the season comes from none other than Nick Singleton. Who would you think would score besides him? And you can see Penn State's fans are already erratic about this season, off to a promising start on the very first drive under Trace McSorley as offensive coordinator. After Nevada scored a field goal on their opening drive, Penn State's next drive started off with a slower start, but that didn't stop Drew Aller from hitting his slot receiver Clifford for the first down. A nice steady play to help keep the drive going. Plays later on 2nd and 7, Penn State looks to hit the ground again as they handed it off to not Nick Singleton this time, but Katron Allen, who ran up the middle for a nice game, already moving them within close to the red zone. Very important to McSorley that both running backs provide just the amount of dominance they did last year. On the next play, Drew Aller throws a quick screen to Pena, who slides through some tackles and has that open field, knocking right on the door of the red zone. And then on the next play, empty backfield, Drew Aller's back there to throw. It's very crucial. He looks to throw. He sees Clifford. He throws it to Clifford, who's run up the middle before he coughs up the ball. And just like that, Nevada's got the ball back. A costly turnover early in the game you don't want to see, as now Nevada has the chance to take it down to the end zone and either score or bring them within 1 point. You don't want to see that, but it's kind of best you get those turnovers out of the way, but at the same time, you hope that your receivers can hold on that ball more, as that was just an unfortunate hit from the safety, and just like that, Nevada might be back in this game after that. Trying to erase that turnover from their minds on the last drive, Drew Aller's in the back and he takes a quarterback run himself, trying to use his legs that people forget he can use from time to time as he gets a nice gain for 2nd and 4. And then on the very next play, Katron Allen, fake handoff. Drew Aller looks to throw and he throws it to Katron Allen, who again breaks it off for a nice run and takes him right outside the red zone. He's been a steady, reliable receiving option outside of the receivers for them. Then on this very next play on 2nd and 5, he hands it off to Nick Singleton, who runs up the middle and almost gets him a touchdown. Now they're within the 5-yard line. Just like that, they're knocking on the door again to score. First play, he hands off to Singleton, who runs all the way up to almost the 1. He's just so close, but they couldn't quite get through. And with Penn State knocking on the door on 2nd and goal, he motions Liam Clifford, does a quick pass to him, who's trying to get to the end zone, and then he dives and fumbles the ball again. I can't believe it. Back-to-back drives. Penn State does a fumble. You hate to see it. Now it's 7-6. Next drive on 2nd and 10, Drew Aller hits a dot to the new tight end, Luke Reynolds, the sophomore, with a lot of speed, hoping to utilize him the same way they used Warren. And then on the next play, he hits Ross for another first down, and just like that, Penn State's moving the ball again. But then a few plays later on 3rd and 11, as the drive stalled out, he tries to hit Hudson over the middle, who drops it, and just like that, the drive falls short. However, after a Nevada turnover, their next drive already has started within the red zone, and on 2nd and 8, Drew Aller looks back to throw, and he throws it up for Devontae Ross, and he just misses him. These are the kind of throws that Drew Aller has been haunted by throughout his entire career at Penn State so far. Hoping to capitalize that on 3rd and 8. He looks to throw, and it's dropped, resulting in another 3 for Penn State as they lead 10-6. You would hope they'd be leading with a bigger lead, but slow start on the offense. That doesn't stop him on the next drive. On 2nd and 12, Hudson reaches out for the 3rd and inches, and then on 3rd and inches, the next play, Drew Aller just hands it to Nick Singleton, who gets up the middle for that first down, trying to balance out that pass play, mixing with their run options. And now, a few plays later on 1st and 10, Aller, he looks to throw, he's looking, he's throwing, he sees X, he throws it to him, who has a nice contested catch. Ross has already been his favorite weapon going forward. And then with a few plays later on 3rd and 9, Drew Aller looking to do a nice pass, calling an audible, trying to see what he could find here. As he hikes the ball right now, he's looking deep, everyone's running deep. He throws it deep to Reynolds, and Reynolds makes the contested catch right up the middle. Beautiful pass. So far, Drew Aller has been very good, and best of all, he's been turnover free. A few plays later on 1st and 10, we're almost hitting the 2-minute warning. He looks to throw it. It's a screen pass to Nick Singleton, who breaks off. He has open field. He gets all the way down to inside the 5, and just like that, Penn State is knocking on the door, hoping to score another touchdown. He hands it off to Nick Singleton on the first play, and what do you know? 2nd touchdown for Nick Singleton, and just like that, Penn State's up 17-6. Their run game has been the dominant factor of this game. They're just hoping the passing game can pick up as well, but will take 2 touchdowns as Nick Singleton's celebrating with his chains and his teammates. You love to see it. So far, Coach McSorley's offense hasn't been explosive, but it's been steady as Penn State now has an 11-point lead. With over 1 minute to go in the first half, Penn State's looking to possibly capitalize and break their lead even more. On their 1st and 10, he throws it out to Devontae Ross, who already got them in first down and possibly within field goal range. This leads to a few plays later on 1st and 10. 57 seconds left. Penn State, Aller's back to throw. He looks, he throws, and he threw a costly turnover. And there's the Drew Aller everyone's familiar with, unfortunately. It was throws like those that ended their season last year against Notre Dame in the championship to get to the national championship. And you really hate to see that early on, as Nevada takes their trident and they are showing off who's boss. Penn State still leads 17-6, but that's 3 turnovers now that Nevada's got on Penn State. You don't want to see that from a powerhouse school that's number 2 on the list already. Next drive, Penn State gets one more drive before the half thanks to their defense, and Drew Aller is back to pass with 29 seconds left. He looks to throw, and what do you know? Another interception, and just like that, Drew Aller has not 1, but 2 interceptions on the day. Again, you hate to see it on the opening game, especially from who's supposed to be your franchise quarterback. That is not great decision making, and they need to try and eliminate these turnovers, as Drew Aller went from having a nice steady game now to 2 picks on the day. You hate to see it from your elite franchise prospect quarterback. Hopefully Penn State can bounce back from this, but this is not how you want to end the half. After back-to-back drives with an interception, their first drive of the second half, Drew Aller's in the backfield. He hikes the ball and he hands it off to Singleton to try and get the run game back. And Singleton already almost gets a first down with their first run. Just like that, their ground attack is back in action. On 2nd and 2, Drew Aller, he's looking to hike the ball. He hands it off to Singleton again, who gets the first down. And they're already moving the ball better than they did the last 2 drives. Fast forward a couple plays, 1st and 10, Drew Aller's in the backfield. All by himself, he hikes the ball, he looks to throw, he throws it up the middle to Hudson, who breaks it for a nice gain, and he got injured on that play, but not before getting them within the 25-yard line. Hopefully he will be back soon. A couple plays later, 2nd and 12, Aller looks, he throws to Ross, and Ross, just like that, gets him within the red zone, and Penn State's already cooking again. They're knocking on the door of another touchdown. Hopefully they can extend their lead more as it's 17-9. Penn State, 2nd and 9, Drew Aller is looking back, he's back to pass, he looks to throw again, he throws it, and passes like that, he's got to watch out because it was already another almost interception right there. Could have been 3 on the day. 3rd and 9, empty backfield. Drew Aller looks, he's looking, he's throwing, he's looking, he can't throw it, so he just throws it away, which makes him settle for another field goal, making it 20-9. Next drive, 1st and 10, Aller's back to pass. He's looking for Ross, and Ross is wide open on a slant. He gets a nice gain. You can already tell that Drew Aller's new favorite target so far has been Ross, with the speedster out of Troy. As Aller's back to pass on 3rd and 10, he throws it to Hudson, his other favorite target so far, who's already back in the game. Gets him a nice first down. They're possibly within field goal range. On 1st and 10, Aller back to throw again. He's looking. He throws it over to Liam Clifford, who's trying to make it up for the 2 fumbles he had earlier in the game, and that'll do it by getting him right outside the 11. Penn State's already moving the ball again, which you love to see, and now we're already in the red zone. A few plays later on 3rd and 7, Penn State trying to get another touchdown. Aller's back to pass. He's looking, and then he starts running, and he's got defenders in his face. What is he doing? He's got to throw it, and just like that, a boneheaded sack that took him out of field goal range. Their next drive, they start deep back in their own red zone, and he's looking to throw on 3rd and 9. He hits Penna, who's been kind of quiet since the first half, and now he's got a big gain. Aller has 400 yards on the day already. He might have had 2 turnovers, but he's been slinging the ball. Next play, throws it to Hudson. Hudson gets him already down within field goal range. They're marching, hoping to capitalize on that with more than just a field goal. It's 1st and 10. Aller, he's back there getting ready to throw. Singleton's in motion. Aller, he's looking. He throws another screen to Penna, and Penna gets him so close to the first down. They're looking to use him a little bit more because everyone's already focused on Ross. On 2nd and 2, Aller back to the pass. It's a screen to Nick Singleton, who breaks the outside. He jukes, and he carries half the Nevada defense on him for a touchdown, and just like that, Nick Singleton has 3 touchdowns in the game. As you see him celebrating again with his teammates, this man has been the vocal point of this offense, scoring 2 rushing touchdowns already, and now this impressive screen for a touchdown. Watch it one more time as he gets to the outside, jukes a defender, and then carries another defender or 2 into the end zone. You love to see it. As Penn State's defense keeps holding Nevada, they haven't scored anything besides their 3 field goals. On 1st and 10, Aller throws a quick screen to Nick Singleton to try and keep it going. Has a nice gain on 2nd and 5. And on the next play, they're looking to move this ball more. Aller snaps it. Nick Singleton runs up the middle for a nice gain for a 1st down. He's been doing well on the ground, and he's been doing well in the air. He's been that dual threat that Aller's been looking for. Next play, Aller hands up to Singleton, who already almost gets a 1st down, and they're looking at 2nd and 1. A few plays later, 1st and 10. They keep moving the ball. Aller's back to throw. He's looking. He throws it deep to Penna, and Penna catches it. He makes the contested catch, and just like that, Penn State's already down on the red zone. And then on the next play, 1st and goal, they have Allen in the backfield. He hikes it to Allen, and Allen scores, because we got to give Allen some of that action too. It can't just be Singleton, as Allen gets his rushing touchdown of the day. And Penn State's now up 34-9. Despite the turnovers, their offenses come back and produce a lot of high points, and now we've got a nice lead in the 4th quarter. Next drive, with already under 5 minutes in the game, with it being 34-9, it's kind of safe to assume Penn State has this game. Aller hands it off to Allen, who runs up the middle for a nice gain, making it 3rd and 1 on a few plays later. Surprising to see the starters in, but, I guess Trace McSorley wants to run up the score and show the league that he is not kidding. So on the next play right here, Aller, he's looking like he's making some adjustment. He's throwing on 3rd and 1. He throws it to Ross, and Ross gets all the way down the field to inside the 10, and just like that, they're knocking for another touchdown. Again, it's very surprising, but you got to respect the aggressiveness, as on 1st and goal, Aller hikes the ball. He's back to pass, surprisingly. He's off running to his right. He's looking. He throws to Liam Clifford, who scores the touchdown, and that should just about make up for his 2 fumbles he had earlier in the game, and that should basically be the nail in the coffin, as Penn State should be able to go on and win 41-9. You love to see it. Aller finally has evened out his touchdowns to his interceptions today, and that was a beautiful throw on the run to get them up ahead and really nail it to the league. And just like that, Penn State wins Week 1 against Nevada, 41-9, a very convincing win. However, when you look at the stats, Penn State had 4 turnovers today, and that's 4 more than you would expect. But that being said, Drew Aller is the player of the game by far, with 533 yards and then a completion percentage of 68%. He really showed, despite those turnovers, that he could sling the ball. But Nick Singleton should get an honorable mention, as he had not 1, not 2, but 3 touchdowns, 2 rushing and 1 receiving. He was a dual threat. As we go through the stats, Drew Aller has 533 yards passing and a 68% completion percentage. That's amazing. 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. You want to even that out, but that's not bad. Singleton had a solid rushing game, and so did Allen. You love to see that they're both at least getting over 50 yards a game for Week 1, although you want to see more from the 2-headed running back attack. That being said, the receiving room has been amazing, as they had Devontae Ross and Pena both got over 100 yards receiving. You love to see it, as well as Hudson getting 67, and then Reynolds getting 52, and also on top of that, Katron Allen getting 52 receiving yards, and Nick Singleton getting 45. That means that both running backs had over 100 yards of all scrimmage yards, which is nice. As I said, this game was a great game for the offense overall, but it still wasn't perfect, and there were some flaws they need to fix if they want to be serious contenders this year. But it's not a bad start to start, especially when your quarterback throws for 533 yards. The offensive line was also not too bad, although it looked like their left guard gave up a few sacks. They did have a few times where the pressure got in Aller's face and was able to complete throws, but despite that, it was a solid line and a solid win overall. You love to see a week 1 win, especially when Drew Aller sets the single-game passing record in your debut as an offensive coordinator. That's a good sign of things to come. Hopefully now he can just knock down the turnovers, and Penn State can continue to be dominant. There was no news in regards to recruiting. As we said, Trace McSorley doesn't have a whole lot of control over that, but still a confident week 1 win gets Penn State on the confidence boost that they need, and hopefully they can retain this and get that national championship at the end of the season. As next week they take on FIU at home. See you then.